Hello, my name is Paul-Beckett, and today I'm going to talk about it is 1 year to the day since I realized my true nature. So, last year, and it was a Friday because today is a Saturday. Last year, I had a kind of completely spontaneous realizing of my true nature. People call it all kinds of words, don't they? People call it enlightenment, and I don't know. That word really doesn't resonate with me because it reminds me of some kind of hierarchy. I am enlightened. You must be endarkened. I don't even know what the opposite of that would be, but it makes it feel like maybe there's something higher than something else, which it's not. It's not that at all. Um, but I realized my true nature, and in realizing my true nature, in realizing the perfection that I was, not the person I believed myself to be, but what I was innately, truly inside, that just magnificent perfection, and that's what I'd ever been. How could I not realize that in others? Because I knew everybody else was exactly the same as me. Uh, I know this world, we're all in different shapes and sizes and colours, and we've all give ourselves different roles and ways of being and characters. And in the game, it is so real. You look at it and you're like, how could it be another way? Of course, that's you. You end at your skin. This is me. I end at my skin. I am all of these things. You are all of those things. With that, I just realized that we are connected. We're one. We are one thing, appearing as many. Um, and you've probably heard me say this before, but the best way I can describe it is like different cells of the same body. But while the cell believes itself to be a cell, it believes itself just to be this separate little insignificant, vulnerable thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, hang on a minute, I'm not a toenail cell. I'm this entire body. The body is the cells. So it really opened me up to see the connection that we have rather than focusing on the differences, which I've done my entire life. Probably we all do that our entire life. What makes me different to you? I am like this, you are like that. This weird society that we've set up is a competition. Everything about society is a competition, isn't it? Everything is a ranking. Everything is a how well are you doing compared to other people? How do you look compared to other people? How educated are you compared to other people? Where do you sit in the rankings? So, really realizing my true nature gave me one thing, and that was connection. That was unshakable feeling of connection. Now I still live in the world. I can still come across difficult people. I can still have people that I would prefer not to spend my time with. It's not saying that all of a sudden I'm like, skipping in the streets and like kissing the faces of passers-by and things like that. But innately inside, I know what I am. Every other person I encounter is too. So with that just comes an unshakable feeling of what's best for me is best for you. When I thrive, we thrive. So why would it be a competition? Why would I want to set myself above or strive in any way to kind of be better than? So really today I probably wanted to speak about what my takeaways of this year have been, because it's still a kind of a process, this integration process. Things come up that need to be healed all the time. And I'm sure quite a lot of the time I don't do it. I look at it and I make the same mistake and I bury it again, and it will show itself to me again in a different situation. And it's always the same kind of lesson. And so I'm starting to see the patterns in that now. But this year, I have realized that connection is everything. Connection is everything, and that's connection between myself and everybody else, but it's like connection with me and nature, the connection with myself and animals. I was always a massive animal lover, but it's just seeing that every aspect of life is essentially the same thing. And when we look at the way we're treating the planet, when we look at how we treat certain groups of people, when we look how we treat animals, when we're so arrogant as humans. We've give ourselves this competition, and we've decided that we've won the competition. We're right up here, and if there's a hierarchy, then brilliant, because we're at the top of it. um So it really gave me a completely different understanding, of that. Um, the love that I feel now for humanity, it's vast. It's really vast. And like I say, that still doesn't mean that I can't look at Vladimir Putin and think, oh my gosh, what are you doing? But he's making some really, really big errors. But then, is there like a difference in the errors that we make? Because we make errors every day. There's no such thing as sin. There's no such thing as sin. Even karma, I would argue with, because karma is something we hold to ourselves. Um, we're here, we make errors because we're blundering about and we're sleepwalking. Okay, so when you get that kind of this awakening experience, it gives you like a privileged kind of position to go, oh God, I can kind of see what I've been doing wrong. But does it mean you get it right every time from then? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like, listen, maybe some people this has happened for and they're levitating in a cave, like, and they're never making any mistakes. But I'm still operating as a person in the world, in a completely upside down society, in a predatory society, in a society that's based on competition and hierarchy, and the mistakes are still made. And you know what? I forgive myself for them. I forgive myself for them. So this is something else that she has given to me, not holding on to things. If I get something wrong, if I muck something up, which we all do, so what? Where did I go wrong there? What can I learn from that? And then let it go. Let it go. I forgive myself. And an extension of that forgiveness of myself had to be a forgiveness of everybody else. How could I hold on to grudges? How could I, we hold on to things years and years long ago. Remember when that person did this? Or I had to let it go. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And all it was doing was poisoning me. I read a brilliant quote, and this was probably before any of this ever happened for me. I think it might have been Buddha, or I don't know, someone who knew some stuff, said, holding on to anger is like swallowing poison and expecting the other person to die. And I just thought, God, that's so right. Me getting all twisted up inside over something that somebody else did to me, 10 years ago, is poisoning me. They're getting on with their life. It's not, if I'm doing it as a punishment to them, then it's really back to front. It's not working. I'm punishing myself. So letting it go. And you know what? It's kind of like forgiveness is really necessary until it's not. Because I then got to a point where I thought, God, there was never really anything to forgive. Like, don't get me wrong, like, people do awful things within this game, within this dream that we're playing. But it's one cell doing it to another cell of the same body. We're people right now, we're taking it personal. We're here and we're convinced we're people, but we're not. We're not. We're just this one energy experiencing itself from many, many different points of view, many, many different aspects. So how could you hate yourself truly in the real way of thinking about it? Now, I know if you've been through trauma, if you've been through something like that, it's a big ask. It's a big ask. You're holding on to it. But speaking just from my experience, because that's all I can speak about. I can't wax lyrical about what's good for other people. But from my experience, I realised that forgiveness of myself was essential. Forgiveness of others was essential, until I realised that actually there was never anything to forgive. It was just a series of errors that can be corrected. Like answering, maths questions in a classroom. Like, I might get a maths question wrong. I'm not going to go home and whip myself over it. I'm going to go, okay, where did I go wrong with that question? How do I answer it right next time? So forgiveness and really, really doing my best to shake guilt and shame. Guilt and shame are poison, absolute poison. Guilt has come from, we've violated our own moral code somehow. Do you know what I mean? And we've held ourselves to this standard, and we've made a mistake, and we feel guilty about it, and we whip ourselves about it. Okay, shame, other way around. Shame is, what are others thinking about me? Are others judging me the way I judge myself when I'm guilty? So, kind of different edges of the same sword there. Put it in the bin. Put it in the bin. Whatever you've ever done wrong, any mistake you've ever made, look at it, accept it, move on from it. Move on from it. Do not relive that moment for the rest of your life, because it's past, it's gone. The now is all that matters. The opinions of others, Society has taught us it's polite to worry about the opinions of others, hasn't it? Society is upside down, by the way, every single thing about it. But you're actually being a responsible citizen if you're always in your head wondering what others think of you, isn't it? Oh, well, better not do that because what will they think? And oh, what? No, no. Now, do you know what? If I tell the truth and someone's not ready to hear the truth, it's on them. On them, not my problem. If I offer some advice and someone's not ready to take that advice, brilliant. If I give a gift, it's not up for me to decide whether the other person opens it or not. I've done that. That's my job. So focusing on the self, and now this is another way that society has got things upside down, because we've got this word selfish, haven't we? We've got this word selfish, but then this other kind of thing, self-care, and they're all kind of a bit like contrasting with each other and beating each other up a little bit. I realised that the only work I can do is with myself. I can't change other people. I can't change other people. But when I heal, the collective heals with different cells of the same body. So my work has been not worrying about what is going on with other people. And this took me a long time. Because even with self-realisation, I realised that I was trying to minimise it because I worried how others were going to take it. Would others think it was weird? Would others relate to me the way they used to relate to me? And I went along for a while like that. Now I just realised, you know what, it doesn't matter. People will come and people will go in your life, okay? But none of it happens through chance. None of it happens through coincidence. You always have exactly the tools that you need in front of you for the lesson that you're learning. And that has just become so apparent to me. And those tools come in situations, they come in terms of people, they come in terms of experiences, but you've always got exactly in front of you that you need at that moment in time, but we don't see it. We run around, we're waiting for this big holy light to shine, and it's like, oh, everything's done. No, it just doesn't work like that. I hate to break it to you, but keeping this presence, keeping this sense of just effortless being and experiencing the world that way is so different. It's so different. Not putting a narrative to everything. Something happens and not thinking what three people along are going to be thinking about this, and what does that mean that I should be thinking about this, and how does this look, and all of this kind of mental manipulation we do, and like behind the scenes, like, oh, how I just let it go. Let it go. Take things for what they are, face value. Because when this happened for me, I cried my eyes out and I laughed. And the reason I laughed was because of the simplicity of it. I am this and I've always been this. I was just playing a game that I forgot that I was playing. I was playing a game of pretend and I just forgot. And it was so simple. So simple. It wasn't gaining something, it was losing something. It wasn't gaining what I am, it was losing the idea of what I'm not. So simple. And then I look online and people are like, there's, I don't know, 12 dimensions, and I've come from this planet and I'm reborn here and I'm doing this, and maybe all of those things happen, but let me tell you something, if it gets complicated, it's not helping you. It's simple. What we are didn't create complication. Complication is a human creation. Okay, it is simple. It doesn't tell lies. It doesn't come in symbols and riddles and things. It is what it is. You are the one infinite creator. You are God. You are source energy. You are whatever you want to call that. And all that energy is a eternal, infinite giving. What can I give? How can I serve? And that realization that God isn't judgment. Sorry to use the G word if that triggers you. It did with me for a long time. God isn't judgment. Nobody's going to judge you apart from the judgment you give yourself. You hold yourself to judgment, and you worry about the judgment of other people, and they're only really you anyway. Do you know what I mean? So let it go. Let it go. What we are outside of this body, outside of this reality, is just this loving, giving energy. It asks nothing because it needs nothing. And when you surrender, now surrender is another funny word. Surrender to us in society sounds like giving in. It's not giving in. It's so beautiful and so hard to do. Surrender is let myself be in the flow of what's happening, not going mad, not peddling like mad, trying to work behind the scenes to sort this, sort that. Let me see how things unfold for me. Let me trust that everything's unfolding for me for my own good. And 9 times out of 10, I don't know what is best for me. Within this limited mind and this limited little experience I'm having, I don't know what's best for me. But I trust that what's unfolding in front of me is what's best for me. And that was a game changer for me. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I think I'm doing it and then I realise that I'm not. Do you know what I mean? It's like a muscle you need to build up, this surrender thing. But it's kind of, imagine being in a river with a current that could have carried you along from the beginning, but you were holding on to the banks because you knew better. You knew better than this effortless current. No, I'm holding on to the banks, blah, blah, blah. And I did it my entire life, and I still find myself doing it now. I find myself saying, okay, I've let go, and then realising that I'm holding on to the wheel, like kind of harder than I ever did, you know what I mean? So what do? Do I go, oh God, I must be a rubbish spiritual person, look at me making this mistake? No, I don't. I go, oh, made another mistake, okay, let go. And if I have to let go 150 times, then that's what I'll do. Am I going to whip myself over it? Am I going to say, oh, here's you making YouTubes trying to tell other people what things like, but here's you making all these mistakes? No, I'm not. I'm just going to carry on speaking my truth. I make these videos from a sense of service because I realise that service is our true nature. I realise that what's happened for me, if you can call it a happening, hasn't happened for everybody yet, but it will. Because this is the next step of like human evolution. This is for all of us. This is not exclusive. This is not me sitting like a guru or a Buddha or a, you know, some kind of Christ figure or anything like that. There is no hierarchy. And that comes from, you know, the soon to be King of England. We've got all that going on just now. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me started on the hierarchy of the monarchy, but you know, we've got a king, and then we've got somebody sitting on the streets, suffering with addiction, something like that. There is no difference. There is no difference other than the role we're playing, other than the hand we were given to play, other than the resources we were given to play with. So this year, I learned that connection is everything. I learned that the only work that I can do is on myself. And when I change, I make it possible for others to change. The way I am in my relationships allows others to be a different way because I am being a different way. When I shine as brightly as I can, it gives other people to shine as brightly as they can. When I am vulnerable, it makes other people feel secure enough to be vulnerable with me. So all the work that I can do is with myself. Let go of your shit. Sorry to swear. But let go of your guilt. Let go of your shame. Let go of judging. And here's the thing. Giving and receiving happen simultaneously. I never could have known that before this. When I give, I feel like I have. So when I go out my way to be kind, when I stop and speak to a homeless person on the street, give them some money, you know, £1, it doesn't matter, but ask them how their day was, ask them what their name is, ask them, you know, are they hungry, could they run in the shop and get you something? And that giving motion instantly gives to me. I feel my internal bank's filling up as I give. It's a two-way thing. One hand gives, one hand receives at the same time, all the time. But remember, that can be changed around. When you take, you also give. Okay? So if you're taking, your internal banks are depleting. Okay? So that's something else that I learned. Giving and receiving, completely simultaneous. Letting go of self-judgment, letting go of judgment of others. Again, when I'm not judging myself, I'm not so scared about others judging me. Okay, so it's another giving and receiving scenario. When my judgment is fired out at others, oh, what is she wearing? Oh my God, it's him again. Oh no, he's put weight on, or or whatever judgments I could possibly make. All of a sudden, the fear is real in me that every single person around me is judging me the same way. So, giving and receiving again. So, major lesson for me. Guilt and shame, can't say this enough, get rid. We've all made mistakes. There's no order to mistakes. Some of us make massive ones in terms of what society considers a massive mistake, and some of us make little everyday mistakes, and some of us make both all the time. Let go of it. Judge it. Judge it in like an open way if you have to. Look at it. It's not even a judgment, it's kind of like an assessment. Look at it. Where did I go wrong there? Do I make this mistake often? Does this same lesson come in different forms, but it's kind of the same mistake that I'm making? Okay, can I learn from that? Can I learn from that? There you go. That's it. It's guilt and shame on. Whatever anybody else thinks of me is none of my business. None of my business at all. I need to be happy with me. I need to be happy with me. And again, when I'm happy with me, I assume you must be happy with me. When I'm not happy with me, when I'm nitpicking at myself, I assume you must be seeing all of these same faults that I'm perceiving in myself. So the work is with you, okay? No one's expecting a Christ figure to come and be like, I forgive you, my child, and people are getting healed all around you. It doesn't work that way in whatever consciousness is doing now. It works the way that you are your own savior. And by saving yourself, you naturally offer that out. You naturally offer that out. When one cell in a body is sick, the other cells want that cell to be better because it's in their best interest. If a cell is cancerous in a body, the other cells want that cell to be healed because it's in the best interest of the body. We are the body, okay? So if there's a sickness in any of us, then the rest of the body doesn't need to judge it, doesn't need to attack it, doesn't need to ostracize it, doesn't need to any of those things. I wish that for others. So yeah, I'm working on myself, but as I pass others in the street, I hold in my mind, you are not that body. You are not that mind. You are not your behavior. Okay? What you are is the perfection I know myself to be. Now, I don't have to say that to them. I don't even have to interact with them, but I can hold in my mind all day for every single person from every walk of life that I come across. I can hold in my mind, you are perfect. You are perfect and you just don't know it yet. Okay? And again, it's a form of service. We're always communicating. It's not just what we do verbally, physically. We are one mind. So by me holding that energy, I am offering that to others. So this year, who knows what's next for me? It's like an onion. It keeps on revealing itself. But what I do know is I will carry on being of service. What I do know is I will carry on being open to others. What I do know is I will never forget the connection. What I do know is that I know that the connection between me and every other self is why I'm here. What I do know is I will carry on working on myself. It's probably a job that will never be finished because it's I'm 45 now. It's took this long of me making mistakes and etching these mistakes into the idea of myself for me to smooth them all out in a wanna. Do you know what I mean? It's probably going to take me a little bit of time, and sometimes they're like sneaky ones. Even when I think, God, I've done a lot of work here, I'm really feeling in a good place. Sometimes there's always a shady little corner, there's a little worm there, and it'll come and suggest something to me, and sometimes I might just be like, oh, and listen to it, and then catch myself and be like, nah, that's old Paul. That's old Paul. That's not who I know myself to be. And what do I do then? Do I go, oh God, some spiritual person you are, look at you, you nearly did this. Then no, I don't. I laugh at it and I go, okay, moving on. No guilt, no shame, no judgment. Okay, so I want the same for you. I want the same for you, and I know when you're hearing this and you're in the middle of life and you're absolutely knee deep in it, and this is blowing up around you and that's blowing up around you, it might not always seem like the easiest thing to do, but try, at least hold it as a possibility in your mind. Hold it as a possibility in your mind, because there's no way that this is for me and it's not for you. There's no way. Okay, I know it's impossible, because I am you, you are me. So happy little year anniversary to me. And think about that and apply it to yourself. Don't apply it to Paul from the internet. who something special has happened to, because that's not the case. Apply it to you, because everything I've said is exactly the same for you. Okay, I really love you, and